Welcome to today's episode of HF Market Talk. With the investment landscape changing rapidly, there's been more and more investment themes arising, ranging from biotechnology, cloud computing, electric vehicles. So what exactly is thematic investments? How do we actually do that? Today we have Stephen from Global X ETFs by Mirae joining us today. Welcome, Stephen.
Nice to be here, Toby.
So what exactly is thematic investments? What are the key principles in doing that?
So thematic investment, it concentrated on finding growth-orientated companies, so it is a growth-orientated strategy. And more importantly, it's focused on finding structural growth. And this will lead to a basket of securities, if it's an ETF, that hopefully will give investors a very long runway to capture growth.
So you mentioned structural growth in terms of thematic investing. So why should we care about structural growth? What's so good about it?
So structural growth is important because this is in opposition to or in contrast to what is called cyclical growth. So with cyclical growth companies, many times they are situated within the old economy. And for cyclical growth companies, they normally reach a top and then they have to go back down to revert, what we call is revert back to a mean or go down on a downtrend. This is as opposed to structural growth, and it's important because structural growth is supposed to create changes and provide a longer term and a very long horizon growth opportunity for investors. So what happens is you get companies that will benefit from these structural changes. For an example would be electric vehicles as opposed to traditional vehicles. Or if we move one step back, it's sort of like saying smartphones versus traditional phones, right? You do not go back on these structural changes. Another way to say it is having combustible engine cars versus horses or riding horses around. So these are things where you do not go back, and this is an important area for investors to invest in.
So thematic investments can help us capture structured growth. So how do we incorporate, say, thematic ETFs in an investment portfolio?
That's a great question. So investors can consider from an asset allocation standpoint if they lack certain types of growth. For example, do they lack exposure to growing trends like biotechnology or electric vehicles? If they do, then they can consider using thematic ETFs that invest into these themes and add exposure to it. Another way to do it is to take a look at if they have exposure to, for example, fixed income or other types of investments, and if they lack growth. And if they lack some type of growth, then they can choose the type of investments that they want via a thematic ETF.
So if an investor would like to incorporate thematic investing or structural growth in the portfolio, thematic ETFs might seem like an easy way to do that. Thanks, Stephen, for joining us today.
Thank you.
If you like the video and would like to know more about that, check out the links below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, remember to hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.